On a cold November night, a man stood at the open door of an aeroplane and disappeared. Below him, black forests, freezing rain, and miles of empty wilderness. No witnesses, no easy escape. He stepped backward into the storm, carrying a fortune in cash and a secret nobody could explain. When the clouds closed behind him, D.B. Cooper became one of America's greatest unsolved mysteries. But hours earlier, he had looked like any other passenger passing through Portland International Airport. It was November 24th, 1971. Rain covered the runway. Thanksgiving travel had just begun. A quiet man in a dark suit bought a one-way ticket from Portland to Seattle. He carried only a small black briefcase. Nothing about him seemed urgent or unusual. He gave his name as Dan Cooper, then calmly boarded Northwest Orient Flight 305. Inside the Boeing 727, Cooper chose a seat near the rear of the cabin. He ordered a bourbon and soda, lit a cigarette, and waited as the plane climbed. He appeared relaxed, polite, patient, almost too patient for a man about to change history. Then he called over a flight attendant named Florence Schaffner and handed her a note. At first, she thought it was a phone number. Cooper leaned closer and told her to read it. The note said he had a bomb. And according to Schaffner, he showed her what looked like one. Inside his briefcase were wires, red cylinders, and a device that made the threat feel real. Cooper did not shout. He did not panic. His calmness made the situation even more terrifying. The crew quietly informed the cockpit. Within minutes, the hijacking had begun. Flight 305 kept circling above Seattle, while officials on the ground rushed to respond. Cooper demanded $200,000 in cash. Today, that would be worth far more. He also demanded 4 parachutes, a detail investigators would analyze for decades. Below the plane, Seattle waited in the darkness. Above it, time was running out. The passengers had no idea how close they were to danger. Most believed it was a delay. On the runway, FBI agents and airport crews worked through rain, fear, and impossible pressure. At last, the plane landed in Seattle, but it stopped far away from everyone else. Police vehicles stayed back. Snipers waited in the darkness. Cooper watched every movement. The ransom money and parachutes were delivered. Cooper had gotten exactly what he asked for. He examined the money bag without hurry, as if this were simply another business transaction. Then he checked the parachutes. He chose his equipment carefully, leaving investigators with questions. Cooper allowed the passengers to leave. One by one, they escaped into the rain. Soon, the cabin was nearly empty. The mystery had become a terrifyingly personal standoff. Only Cooper, the pilots, and one flight attendant remained aboard the plane. He ordered the crew back into the sky, this time heading south toward Mexico City. But Cooper had strict conditions: low altitude, slow speed, and the rear stairs unlocked. The Boeing 727 disappeared into a violent night of clouds, rain, and mountain wilderness. At the rear of the aircraft, Cooper secured the ransom money and prepared his parachute. Outside the window, lightning flashed over the forest. Somewhere below was his unknown landing zone. Then the rear staircase lowered in mid-air. Freezing wind exploded into the cabin. In the cockpit, the crew could only wait. They could not see him. They could not stop him. Cooper stood at the open doorway, framed by darkness, storm clouds, and roaring wind. He stepped onto the metal stairs. One mistake would mean certain death. There was no runway below, no rescue team, no second chance. Just the empty night. And then, somewhere over the Pacific Northwest, D.B. Cooper jumped. He fell through rain and darkness, carrying $200,000 strapped to his body. If his parachute opened, he might have survived. If it failed, the forest would have swallowed him. The plane continued south. Behind it, Cooper vanished into one of the wildest regions in America. No one saw him land. No one heard him call for help. Then, silence. The moment the crew reported his disappearance, the largest manhunt of its kind began. Agents searched forests, rivers, roads, and mountain slopes. They searched for weeks, then years. But heavy rain had erased almost everything. If Cooper left tracks, nature quickly destroyed them. The search produced clues, but never the answer investigators needed. A body, a parachute, or Cooper himself. One key piece of evidence was a black clip-on tie Cooper had left behind on the plane. The case grew older. Suspects appeared, disappeared, and were ruled out one after another. Then, in 1980, a boy found bundles of decaying ransom money beside the Columbia River. It proved that at least some of Cooper's money had reached the ground. But how? Did he survive and lose the cash? Did the money drift away? Nobody could say. The FBI investigated hundreds of suspects, yet none could be proven to be the real Dan Cooper. Maybe he escaped into the forest and lived under another name for the rest of his life. Or maybe the storm defeated him, leaving only a legend drifting through the trees. More than 50 years later, one question remains. What really happened to D.B. Cooper?